Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. I'm in God knows where, Oklahoma right now, fixing to try and kill with stick. Hunting wild boar in Oklahoma. We just got here. It's been a long time coming. I've got no idea what I'm doing, but I'm fixing to find me some adventure if I can.
Boys, have I got a hunting story for you. Of course, I suppose the first question that needs answered is whether or not what I was doing would be considered hunting. Because I'm not going to pretend like I didn't go and hunt a high fence property. And the answer is, that's really up to you. But having been there and done it, while it is a high fenced operation, this adventure was far from canned.
It is kind of crazy. I don't know how in the hell I'm ever going to try and get close enough with my elephant feet to try and spear one.
Not only was I morally shaky about hunting in a high fence property, but I was also very concerned on my way down from Illinois to Oklahoma, or over from Illinois to Oklahoma, that is. I was concerned with the possible danger and possible social backlash of me wanting to hunt with a spear. However, it quickly became apparent that I would need to cross that bridge when I got there, because while these pigs are contained within a high fence environment, they're also very, very wild, as they are basically trapped out of a local ecosystem and then placed inside this large high fenced enclosure.
Yes, I'm in a super awkward position that I can't actually draw my bow.
Between Illinois and Oklahoma, I had an awful lot of time to think about the possible outcomes of this hunt, as to would I be successful at all? Would I get one in the first 10 minutes? Because it would look equally as bad if I came home empty-handed from a, quote, canned hunt, as if I had shot a boar within the first 10 minutes of the hunt. But it quickly became apparent that my skills at stalking were extremely lacking. So, we first got there, we loaded up our packs, we had plenty of water and a jar of peanut butter apiece, and we figured once we were inside the wire, we weren't coming out till dark. And so, we basically covered 5 miles the first night, because the sun had started to go down, it was nice and cool-ish, and in spite of the fact that I had no idea what to expect, I was super excited. I was excited for a number of reasons. I was hunting with an old YouTube friend, Tripper Sadler. I was excited because I'd always wanted to go on a boar hunt. And I also had that terrified excitement of being near animals that are capable of doing me great bodily harm if they so chose to. So basically, we had a gallon of water in each of our packs and a jar of peanut butter. And stalking wily game at the best of times, not super easy. But trying to be stealthy when you're carrying a day's worth of rations on your back and covering pretty intense terrain, we basically had absolutely no luck, because with traditional archery equipment, you don't have any fail-safes, and you've got to make sure that your arrow's gonna kill. Every time that I would see a pig, my heart would just rev. Getting into range of a pig, that was a whole different story. Because stalking in a pack is so difficult. course, I had kind of known that Tripper was going to walk the dog shit out of me and test my physical fitness. Rather than wearing soft-soled moccasins or running shoes, I was wearing my Solomon Quests. And so, stalking was definitely an issue. But we did occasionally have the wind right, and we're in positions where we could ambush pigs.
That's a little boar.
I had no idea what to expect. Whether the pigs were going to charge, whether they were going to be aggressive, if they were going to run away. I didn't know. I had no clue what I was doing. I had never still hunted before. All I knew was that I was super excited. I was exhausted from being on the road, and I was just happy to be hunting boar for the first time in my life. It was quite intense because I knew that there were boars inside the property. I knew that they were in there. The questions were finding them, getting close to them, having them stand still to get a shot at them, and then potentially blood trailing to a fallen animal. And still hunting can be exhausting. Excluding the terrain that you might cover, whether it's rocky or mountainous or flat or muddy, whatever. Still hunting is exhausting because you are constantly clenched up, tensed up, ready for action. Your lats, your traps, the muscles in your neck, you're constantly coiled and ready for the action, never knowing what's going to happen. And so, as I moved closer, foolishly trying to get within range, I had no idea what to expect.
Hey, you see that little one? I'll bet you that's one of those small ones that Brody and I got.
Now you're seeing an awful lot of pigs on camera, and that's because it's really hard to be able to successfully depict just how much walking and searching we actually did, because we were honestly pretty much focused on actually finding the pigs and trying to get close to them. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is a very game-rich environment, but we basically walked the property top to bottom like trying to hit every space on a checkerboard. We basically chased the pigs around the property. Regardless as to whether or not this was high fence, to belabor this point, it was very much as if the animals on the property had to respect the property lines as much as I had to respect the property lines. But with traditional bow hunting, it is so difficult to get close. Or at least it is for me. Maybe I just suck. But the day continued, and we got more tired and more lackadaisical. And I was just exhausted from excitement. But the fact that I thought that I was going to try and get a boar with a spear on the ground seemed much more ambitious than it was remotely possible. And so the day was ending as we made our way back up toward the gate. And I was very happy. I would have hated to be too successful too soon, but I also had a hint of worry as to whether or not I was even going to have a chance in hell at being successful, fence or not. Okay, Trapper, so what's the plan today other than attempt to kill shit with sticks again?
Teach you how to stalk.
I'm real not good at that.
We'll get close now. We'll get close enough this pig. Get in there, sneak around and try to get the spear close.
Sure hoping. A more accurate depiction of the plan for the day would have gone something like this. Hike around the property, trying to sneak up on pigs that get shot at on an almost daily basis with boomsticks, and chew Copenhagen and swear a whole lot. That would have been a much more accurate depiction of the actual plan for the day as to how it was going to play out. But it was a nice cool morning and the pigs were active, so this is where we kind of messed up a little bit. We should have actually just stopped and sat and waited when it was nice and cool out, hoping for the pigs to come where we were set up to ambush them at. Because it seemed like what we did was that we basically wore ourselves out as opposed to actually being able to sneak up on them when they were moving around. Because these things have got shocking reflexes. Pigs, hogs in general, are a real amazing creature, and you don't really appreciate it until you actually try and go out and kill one with a recurve, high fence or not. We weren't desperate yet, but we sure had covered an awful lot of ground with nothing to show for it this morning already. So, due to my lack of stalking ability, we decided that we were going to try and do a tree stand hunt, but I got down a little too soon because we hadn't given up on ground hunting just yet, and no sooner did I get down and get my pack than a hog started coming into the feeder. This good-sized boar just coming in, and here I am, direct sunlight, completely in the open, just wearing first light, big stupid cowboy hat on my head, not a chance in hell. The wind blowing on the back of my neck. I didn't know what to say. But when a pig starts coming into the feeder, it is always just so darn exciting. Now, we hadn't given up on ground hunting just yet. We were basically just checking which deer stands we could actually hunt out of with recurves on account of the fact that limb clearance is kind of a big deal. And there were no platform stands on the property. They all were ladder stands. And so I had to figure out which stands I could actually get a shot out of. Now, having a shot actually land, that was a different story. So when the sun was getting higher and higher and the temperature was warming up, we were already tired and tense from basically still hunting all morning when we should have been sitting still.
Look at that.
The biggest trophy that I've got so far this whole damn trip.
Little fella.
That'd be an Instagram.
Alright, just toss him back. Not that way.
like I said, we basically took everything inside the wire that we were going to need for a whole day. And seeing as it was pretty hot, I climbed up in this tree stand with the rail on it over top of a feeder, hoping that hogs would come into the bottom here where I could get a shot at one when the feeder went off, and stopping for lunch. Peanut butter out of the jar and loading up on water. Of course, nothing came to the feeder after about an hour or so. After we got done eating, we went on the hunt yet again, hiking with a weapon. Now, while the pigs are super wild, the exotics I wouldn't have felt remotely good about shooting at. They're so damned expensive to, quote, hunt that they never really get shot at. We were set up on the ground next to a feeder at the top of the hill. We figured at this point anything could work. I was sitting on a rock, Tripper was sitting next to a rock, and this particular ladder stand didn't have a rail, and I wasn't about to get up in it without a harness on because I hadn't brought my safety harness because I'd planned on doing all my hunting on the ground. Overly optimistic as I was, watching and waiting and hoping this pig was going to come remotely into my effective range of my Martin Hunter. And I tell you what, it is nerve-wracking being on the ground with these things because they are so unpredictable. And I have never sat so still in my entire damn life. Never sat so still in my entire life as when this pig was coming in. I was so excited. My heart was hammering my ears, and I was basically having everything that I had practiced go to shit. Because in an adrenalized state, you do not rise to your level of training, you fall to your level of mastery. The wind was good for a change, which is why we had decided to hunt this particular spot on the property. But the pig seemed to like living, and he seemed to be mighty smart. Even though this would have been a beautiful trophy to take home, he never came within range of me where I would feel good at slinging an arrow. Because with traditional archery equipment, shooting instinctive, and also adding in the fact that these things have crazy reflexes, you want to be close. And so I was calming down. The good news was the pig had no idea that we were there. The bad news was we decided, since nothing had showed up yet, it was hot, they'd probably be bedded down in the wallows. We'd rested enough, let's go back down there. No sooner do we do that and get up off the rock, do the pigs start coming into the feeder. And I'm caught in a completely awkward position, my heart hammering in my ears, behind a tree, but in range, thank God, on the ground with a group of unpredictable wild animals watching and waiting. The perfect shot presented itself to me right here. The only problem was that this big sow had that wide oak tree right over her vitals, and I could not do anything about it because trying to be smooth and still without getting caught by that many pairs of eyes on these wily critters is darn near impossible. But then another pig came into a lane where I actually could take a shot. My heart was racing. I drew. I hit my anchor point. I did absolutely everything that I could right. And I thought that I had totally whiffed the shot. It would have been a perfect heart shot had that pig still been there by the time that my arrow traveled 12 yards. Never in my life did I think I could miss that shot. But yet, somehow, I did. Needless to say, my confidence in my ability as a traditional bow hunter was basically shattered at that moment.
That's a good pile of pigs.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was really upset about missing that heart shot. I didn't know what to think at that point. I was hot, I was tired, and I was emotionally distressed because when we actually found my arrow, we found that it had blood on it. So we then proceeded to blood trail a perfectly healthy pig that basically had a shaving nick on its elbow. We went back to the lodge, we got me a safety harness, and we decided that we were going to sit this feeder. The only trouble was, obviously, ladder stands are a total bastard to shoot recurve out of because of the legs being part of the seat. But we decided this was probably going to be a hot spot, and when the temperature cooled off, that pigs would come in. Now, as I have also mentioned, the exotics are embarrassingly tame. We did not want to have any interaction with them. And it basically took Tripper chucking rocks at these Texas Dole sheep to get them off the corn so that there'd be some for the pigs. I don't think that even with a spear that I could feel good about taking one of them animals just because they were practically petting zoo tame. You could literally wave your arms at them, and until you threw a rock at them, they wouldn't leave. But as the sun started to go down little by little and it cooled off again, a good-sized mob of pigs started coming into the corn. And just like always, when critters start coming in, my heart was hammering in my ears thinking, oh God, please don't let me screw this up. Tripper invited me down here to his pig hunting spot, and here I am doing a Tex Grebner Outdoors episode. But unfortunately, they kind of knew something was up, so they simply didn't even remotely come into range. On our way out, naturally, as it is wont to do by the trickster gods of the hunt, here came the pigs out on the grass to feed.
Somebody had to poop.
Now, in my defense, it's not that I'm above pooping in the woods. It's that we literally got 100 yards in the gate, and I thought, well, I'm 150 yards from the lodge. Better take care of this now.
What? How was it?
It all came out okay.
It's the equivalent of watching my 3-year-old daughter try to put on pajamas. We got the secret sauce today, hopefully. Hopefully he'll come in, he can throw a spear at him. Any pig will work at this point. We're not trophy hunting anymore.
I was basically relying on Tripper exclusively to film so that I could focus on what I was doing. I didn't have a camera arm to take up in a deer stand with me.
Hopefully this works. We don't normally sit on feeders, but I think the only way we're going to get it done with a spear is over a feeder. I don't know. I'm just sitting on the ground back here, trying to film. It might work. And it might not.
I was definitely feeling pressure to perform. I'd come all this way and I didn't want to come home empty-handed, and I also didn't want to compromise my morality. But as soon as I'd got up in the tree, I'd thrown the spear down at a couple of napkins that we'd swiped from the lodge so that I actually had a good idea of what my range was. Right after the feeder went off, here came in the pigs that had been bedded on the hillside, and I was standing, heart racing, spear in hand, ready to kill with sticks. It was not to be.
Trad life, yo. This place that I'm in right now basically defies my expectation of what a high fence hunting preserve would be. And I'm not going to pretend to you that there ain't a fence, because there is. But I grew up hunting pheasants that we set out on account of the fact that there weren't pheasants where I was to hunt. And so it ends up being that I also grew up fishing catfish that we put in a pond. So is it only fishing if you're trout fishing in the stream, or is it still fishing if you're catfishing at the farm pond? But even if there is a fence, these things live in a very active Darwinistic environment. They are difficult to hunt, especially because, as far as I know, these pigs get trapped wild and then put into this enclosure, and sure, there's corn feeders. I never in my life thought that I'd ever hunt a corn feeder, but as you've seen, I have. It's just crazy terrain, and all the way down here, I had it in my head, I'm scared of getting charged by a pig or whatever. About halfway through the first night, it was like, go ahead, charge. At least you ain't running away. But yeah, this hunt has pretty much defied my expectations of what a high fence ranch would be. Of course, there wouldn't be much to it using a rifle. And these pigs, they got ninja reflexes. The other day, or yesterday rather, I made what would have been a perfect heart shot. Had the pig been there when my arrow traveled 12 damn yards. And this bow, pretty darn quiet. But I let go and I missed just under his vitals. So at this point, I don't know. Not gonna lie, my confidence in my ability as a bow hunter and an archer was basically shot to shit. So, while there is a fence, at least with the hogs on this place, I would not call this a canned hunt. Tripper, other than sitting in the tree stands a couple of times, how far a day would you say we walk?
I'd say at least 7 or 8 miles, probably.
Hot, tired, emotionally drained, tensed up, still hunting, trying to catch the pigs in their bed now that the sun was all high, wondering what was going to happen, if I was going to be successful. God knows we didn't hardly sleep at all on account of the fact that we basically hunted until 9 o'clock when it was dark, went back to the lodge totally wired, drank coffee, sat around, bullshitted, put film on the laptop, showered off, tick-checked, and didn't get to bed till 1 in the damn morning after a day of chewing tobacco, drinking water, walking a whole bunch other than sitting in tree stands, and swearing a lot.
I think it's safe to say that I'm being reminded on this trip that I don't know shit about shit.
I had basically given up on spearing a hog at this point, but I also was completely unwilling to go up to the lodge and get the guide's rifle and give up on getting a hog with my recurve. This seemed like a really promising spot down by the wallows for as hot as it was now that the sun was high, and anything can happen. But I'm not gonna lie, it was looking really bleak. Watching, waiting, sitting in the sun, questioning the sanity of my choice in equipment, questioning my own shooting ability, because hunting foam and hunting flesh are not remotely the same. These pigs have incredible reflexes, but at least the squirrels were there to entertain me. I had a good shot to this feeder, and while I never in my life thought that I was ever gonna hunt a corn feeder, well, here I was hunting a corn feeder because we basically tried everything else, going about things totally wrong. But I tell you what, if I ever come back to this place, I'm gonna bring my own damn tree stand harness, and I'm gonna come prepared with a camera arm.
Where are the pigs at? You ready? We got a couple more hours left. You ready?
Yeah, as ready as I'm gonna be.
Alright. You motivated?
As motivated as shit, I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point.
Hashtag trad life.
Oh shit. I'm hot. I'm tired. I've been hunting my ass off regardless as to whether or not people think this is real hunting or not. And I'm gonna go down here, see if things come in, and see if I can't make something happen. But I'm perfectly fine with going home empty-handed.
This was the real moments of truth, because we had to pack our stuff out of the lodge, get everything packed up, but because we still didn't have a pig on the ground, they were kind enough to say, go back into the wire. You can hunt till dark. You just can't shower off in the lodge when you get done. And so, you want to talk about pressure. Watching, waiting, listening, pulling ticks off my legs, trying to sit still, hoping and praying and wondering, is this even gonna work out? God, I sure as hell don't want to miss. And then they came into the feeder a little bit early, and I thought, this is a shot I can't miss. And I drew my bow, and I came to my anchor, and I let that arrow fly on a prayer to the gods of the hunt. And the moment of truth was at hand, and I saw that pig bleeding out the top as he took off. And I was so shocked that I had held death in the palms of my hands that I didn't even think to celebrate. But I knew when I hit my anchor that pig was gonna die. But yet we also had not recovered the pig yet. This isn't remotely glamorous. I thought I might cry when I was finally successful, if I was finally successful, but all I could think was, holy shit, it actually might have worked.
It sounded good. Huh? Oh yeah, that arrow looked good. It sounded real good. I think I had it on my, there's just a pile of pigs. It sounded real good. Thump.
I sure hope so.
You didn't see him go down though. Which way did he take off?
He took off on this side of the feeder and went up the hill, and where he got from there, I have no idea.
Oh yeah, that looks real good.
Apparently the shot was pretty alright, because he went, I'm not going to guess, I'm just hot and I'm tired and I'm covered in ticks and mosquito bites, so I'm not going to guess how far he went. But the shot was pretty alright, and I'm going to admit my confidence was basically shattered from the whole week of being terrible at stalking, and the fact that these things are like forest ninjas. So I wanted it where it was close enough that I couldn't possibly miss. So Tripper helped me with the blood trail. He's got him tracked down. Apparently he's dead as a stone, so I'm just happy to finally #kill with sticks. Of course, now somebody's going to bitch and moan that I'm not honoring the corpse. I'm just really glad to have finally been successful with my archery, seeing as I've got a whitetail curse. And so I also always wanted to go boar hunting, and thanks to Tripper Sadler I was able to go boar hunting here in Oklahoma. And this might be a fenced property, but I wouldn't ever call this canned hunting. These pigs are cagey, they're wild, they're crazy smart, and at least he's got some good wetters in there. And so, if nothing else, it'll eat good. We're gonna get him loaded up on the four-wheeler just because we're in basically the 11th hour here. And so I'm not actually gonna bother doing Instagram poser stuff, walking back up to load him in the Kafaru and bring him back down.
even though I suppose I could just Kiwi pack him out. But anyways, I'm just happy to have finally gone on a boar hunt and had a little bit of success. And God knows I eat an awful lot of bacon being on keto. And let me just throw out a plug here for Train to Hunt, just because you don't have to be in shape to be a hunter, but by God, it sure helps you hate life less when you can cover, what, 8, maybe 10 miles in a day. Sure, this is a fenced property, but God, it's rugged country. And if you're not ready for it, those hills here will kill you. But bacon on the ground. This originally started out that I was gonna go after boar with spear, but these animals have really humbled me, because while I have the skill to throw a spear, I do not have the skill to get within range to throw that spear. So, still trad life, I suppose. I'm the reason I can't have nice things. Well, I'm very happy. You think and you plan and you plot about what you're going to say over a dead critter, and then when it finally happens, you tend to be pretty speechless. I mean, I'm happy. I worked my ass off for it, which sounds really ironic because I shot him over a corn feeder. But you plan and you think and you wonder, but by God, I finally got me a moment of truth. And now that I've actually done an archery kill that I can be proud of, I don't really know what the hell to say about it. It was an awful long road trip home with an awful lot on my mind. But I did make sure to save the heart from the gut pile. But I also didn't happen to have a camera with me when I ate it. So here's a wild boar tenderloin getting fried in bacon grease, fixing to be ate with some scrambled eggs and cheese. Hashtag keto. Hashtag ow! And hashtag kill with sticks. I had an awful lot of fun on this hunt, if you can even call it a hunt. But it was also very emotionally and physically taxing. Would I do it again? I sure would. But at least now I know what I'm kind of getting into. But seeing as these pork shoulders from my boar were so lean and completely intact, I did want to at least have a good solid game test as far as what my gear would do. So, now that I'm home, got my cold steel Samburu and stepped off about 8 yards and threw it into that pork shoulder on my Reinhardt, just to make sure that if I could get within range and I could make a good hit, that my tackle was going to hold up. Well, let's have a look. I also shot my 300 grain werewolf broadheads, testing them for penetration on my pork shoulders as well. One shoulder for the spear, one shoulder for the broadhead. And everything seems to have worked out just fine as far as my equipment. If only the animals were more cooperative with their ninja reflexes. It did not care about that shoulder blade. at all. Sure, this pig's pretty small, and God forbid I do the Gaston pose with my game, but it's a trophy to me, and I almost forgot to be all self-righteous about the fact that I get to eat wild meat now for a while. And here we are at the very end of the adventure, sitting in my driveway in the middle of the damn night, editing video, living the dream. I'm also going to go take a tick bath that I bought from the pet selection at Walmart, because God knows I'd never be able to find ticks in this mess with my bush hippie hair. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this Tex Grebner Outdoors adventure, seeing as it was in fact successful. Believe it or not, there were some strong doubts at one point, but I did manage to make it happen. Now, whether or not you feel what I did was hunting, because I hunted inside a high fence, I have no doubt you will be sure to let me know down in the comments. But I would like to go back sometime with a little bit more skill and a lot more know-how to actually try and stalk a pig with a spear. I admit I'm practically disappointed that I didn't manage to find a way of injuring myself while I was down there, just because a boar charge would have made for a pretty interesting story. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this Tex Grebner Outdoors adventure. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please got my friends over at SOETacticalReader.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors.